So today I'm going to start the third poem, that is Keeping Quiet. Today, when we are living in what we call as a technologically sound world, जहाँ पर switching of the things has become imminent. Keeping quiet जो है, it is about staying still. Means the poet जो है, he is advocating that we need to rise above our thoughts. It is an appeal. मतलब ये क्वेश्चन में आपसे पूछा जा सकता है इन द एमसीक्यूज. इट कैन बी आस्क यू व्हाट इज इट. इट इज एन अपील. ये रीडर्स को वो एक अपील कर रहा है दैट वी हैव टू कीप क्वाइट, वी हैव टू स्टे स्टिल, we need to cease our words, we need to cease our activities to promote harmony, balance and brotherhood. Jahan today we are living in a celebratory gestures का मतलब हम 21st सेंचुरी में है. वी आर लिविंग इन अ बजिंग वर्ल्ड. हर चीज हमारी जो है वो बज रही है. और ऐसे में it is a gentle reminder by Pablo Neruda that life can be like a brief moment of a silent pause. अगर हम थोड़ी देर के लिए pause करें, keeping quiet means to pause. थोड़ी देर के लिए अगर हम pause करें तो we can understand the real meaning of life. Actually, we are in the digital age and the message is to resonate with each other. एक दूसरे से जुड़ना. We have forgotten quietude, stillness, peace, pacifism, fellowship, brotherhood. हम ये सब चीजें भूल चुके हैं. We need to understand that the ecological balance has to be sustained, or else we are not going to harm anyone, but it is the harm that we are doing to self. हम खुद को harm कर रहे हैं जो शायद हमें इस भीड़ भाड़ में हमें जो है बिल्कुल भी समझ नहीं आ रहा. So that is why he is urging for stillness. That is why he wants that we should identify ourselves to this world, to this soil, to this earth. This poem is a free verse. We don't have any kind of rhyming scheme. जैसे हमारा My Mother at 66 था, this poem is also a free verse. We don't have a rhyming scheme in this particular. And the poet is also taking 12 as the symbol. क्यों? क्योंकि जो 12 है that is symbolizing the count of clock. 12 आपकी घड़ी में होते हैं, months हमारे 12 होते हैं. So he wants to correlate that natural tendency with us. दूसरा, अगर आप देखो तो यहाँ स्टार्टिंग में he says now we will count to 12. Why he is asking we, not I, not you? ऐसा वो क्यों कर रहा है, वो वी क्यों बोल रहा है, वाई ही इज नॉट सेइंग आई विल काउंट टू 12 या यू विल काउंट टू 12, बिकॉज ही वॉन्ट्स वी शुड राइज अबाउट द डिफरेंसेस दैट वी हैव. वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड, हमें ये अंडरस्टैंड करना कि हम सब एक हैं. वी मे हैव अ लिंग्विस्टिक डिफरेंस, हम जो है बात, हमारा जो लैंग्वेज है वो अलग हो सकता है. Someone might be speaking Hindi, someone might be speaking English or Chinese, but still we all are humans. We need to rise about the racial difference. Some might be fair, some might be dark, लेकिन हमें ऊपर उठना है. So that is why he is employing this word we will. और अगर हम we will को देखते हैं तो it is alliteration. It is alliteration. We will count up to 12 and we will all keep still. मतलब उनका कहना है कि जब तक हम वो एक घड़ी में जो है, जो आपकी सुई है, that is the seconds that starts from 1 to 12, till then for that one moment we are going to be paused. We are not going to do anything for once on the face of the earth. Means on the face of the earth matlab general, on the general we are not, let us not speak in any language. Means let us cease our words, cease our words. हम अपनी जो hatred, अपना जो बातों से, अपनी लैंग्वेज से खराब करते हैं उसे we will stop. Let us stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. लैंग्वेज यहां पर जो है that is not the only domain of language we are speaking, but also the emotions that we exhibit. उनका कहना है we must understand the differences that are cropping up. And moving up of our arms का मतलब होता है the ceaseless movements of the hands, restlessness, aggression जो हमारे अंदर है, जो हमारे अंदर जो एग्रेशन है उसको हम लोगों ने स्टॉप करना है. Means that 1 minute we are not going to do any harm to anyone, not to ourselves, not to others, not to the mother earth. Then he says it would be an exotic movement. Without rush, without engines, we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. What he says is it would be an exotic, मतलब बहुत ही खूबसूरत movement होगा. Why? Because humans are so obsessed with noise. हमको तो आवाज सुनने की इतनी आदत है कि खामोशी जब होती है ना तो हम लोग को समझ नहीं आता इतनी खामोशी क्यों है. जस्ट इमेजिन यू आर इन अ फॉरेस्ट, आपको बड़ा ही बहुत ही अजीब लगेगा, बट दैट इज अ ब्यूटिफुल मोमेंट व्हेन यू आर नियर द नेचर, व्हेन यू आर नियर योरसेल्फ. Here he says without rush, without engines. ना कोई मतलब कि शोर होगा, ना कोई इंजन होगी जिसकी आवाज होगी, यानी कि देयर वुड बी नो काइंड ऑफ एनी काइंड ऑफ हार्म दैट वी वुड बी डूइंग टू एनीवन. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Strange, why? Because as I said that we are not habitual to silence. तो हमारे लिए that would be very unfamiliar. For modern world, sound is familiar, silence is unfamiliar. So we would be escaping that mechanist motion जो कि हम चल रहे हैं उससे हम थोड़ा अलग होंगे, and we all will be feeling that strange environment. And that environment, when we are all together, when we are quiet, that would be really a beautiful moment. Beautiful के यहाँ पर दो moments हैं. एक, the one we are not going to harm anything, and the second is we are going to introspect ourselves. As जब मैंने शुरू में करवाया था तब मैंने आपको बताया था कि इस पोएम का जो मेन थीम है वो है सेल्फ introspection, to understand ourselves. That is the main theme of this chapter. So we would be in unity. We will all be together. मतलब we will all be united. We all would be in a rare unity. अदरवाइज हम एक दूसरे के साथ लड़ते हैं, झगड़ते हैं, हम हार्म करते हैं. तो एट दैट टाइम वी वुड नॉट बी doing anything. We would be ceasing all our activities. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Beta, in we would, again it is what you call as alliteration. Without rush, without engines, we also call it as repetition, and sometimes ये अगले line में भी आ जाता है, and we call it as anaphora. When it is coming in the same statement, we call it as repetition. The word without is repeated. And sudden strangeness, alliteration. The letter S is repeated. Fishermen in the cold sea. एक्चुअल में ये जो फिशरमैन इन द कोल्ड सी है ना बेटा, दिस इज ऑल्सो अ मेटाफॉर फॉर एक्सप्लॉयटेशन. इट्स अ मेटाफॉर फॉर एक्सप्लॉयटेशन, क्योंकि जो फिशरमैन होते हैं, कोल्ड सी हियर इज फॉर द पोलर रीजन्स. They normally exploit the animals, whales, but for one pause, one moment, they would not be harming the whales. Means for 1 second they would not be exploiting the nature. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Man gathering salt, matlab what happens is we are exploiting the nature, the resources. And in this exploitation of the nature, we forget that somewhere indirectly हम खुद को नुकसान दे रहे हैं. We are harming ourselves. So he would also, for 1 second, when he is not doing anything, he would look at his hands. He would understand the pain that he is giving to himself. That is what he says, would look at his hurt hands. Again, his hurt hands यहाँ पर जो है, clearly it is alliteration. Those who prepare green wars, war with gas, wars with fire, victory with no survivors. What we have done? Yes, we are developing ourselves. We have the nuclear power. But for developing ourselves, to show our supremacy, हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? We are preparing the green wars. यहाँ पर जो prepare है ना, this is in another word we are manufacturing. Who prepare green wars का मतलब हो जाता है that we are devastating the nature. We are using the biological weapons. जो यहाँ पर war with gas, war with fire, the biological weapons, the chemical weapons, deforestation, pollution, ये हम prepare कर रहे हैं. What will happen? Victory with no survivors. Means we would definitely war होता है तो there is somebody who is victorious. लेकिन on the other hand, war is never beneficial to anyone. किसी के लिए नहीं है. Victory with no survivors. हम शायद दुनिया में जो है डेवलप कर लेंगे, बट उस चीज को देखने के लिए शायद there would be no one surviving. These green wars, all this destruction, the chemical weapons, the biological weapons, smoke, slowly it is going to be the demise for ourselves. हमारे लिए वो एक आने वाले टाइम में हो सकता है कि people are not there. अभी हम देख तो रहे हैं what is happening. What is happening? We never heard about pandemics. Yes, epidemic was there. Spanish flu was there 100 years before, but that was also confined to certain areas. But आज COVID, what it has shown us? कोई एक कंट्री बची हो, कोई एक ऐसी जगह बची हो जहां पर ये चीज ना गई हो. What we are, हम लोगों ने डेवलप कर लिया है. टुडे वी ऑल हैव गॉन टू मार्स, वी हैव गॉन टू द मून, वी कैन फ्लाई. बट तो ये ऐसे जो वेपन्स हैं, whether it is deforestation or the biological weapons or the chemical, they are all going to definitely give us victory, but maybe nobody survives. So what he says is, we can also use, मतलब आपके पेपर में आपने देखा होगा, there are some quotations that comes कि इस पैराग्राफ को हम किस तरीके से बोल सकते हैं. The war began for me and my friends started disappearing. The war began for me and my friends started disappearing. Why? Because war may bring victory for one country, for one power, but it may not be the same for the other. और फिर जब वॉर होता है तो दोनों तरफ लोग मारे जाते हैं. वॉर इज नेवर दैट कि हाँ मेरी कंट्री विक्टोरियस है. व्हाट अबाउट दोज पीपल हु हैव. And यहाँ पर the war is not only the war which we are playing on the military ground, it is also the war with green war, means deforestation, the chemical weapons, the pollution. So, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. वो कहते हैं कि जब हम इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करेंगे, when we would introspect ourselves, जिस दिन हम अपने आप को इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करेंगे, हम अंदर से समझेंगे, उस दिन, उस मोमेंट, वी वुड बी क्वाइट, वी वुड अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ ब्रदरहुड, फ्रेटर्निटी. वी वुड अंडरस्टैंड दैट ब्लड स्टेन्स आर नथिंग बट ओनली डिस्ट्रक्शन. खून खराबा कुछ नहीं होता है. We would be free from, यहाँ पर जो clean clothes हैं बेटा, this means abstaining ourselves from blood stains. खुद को खून खराबा से बचाएंगे. Pure thoughts. Clean clothes here is also for pure thoughts. It is also abstaining ourselves from the blood stains, from the guilt. And walk about with their brothers means we would be able to understand the meaning of silence and peace, and we would understand the real meaning of brotherhood and fraternity. And that we can do only when we are quiet, when we are not waging a war against ourselves. Next he says, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Total inactivity means death. And he says, I want no truck with death. यहाँ पे truck means the soldiers who are moving, जिनकी dead bodies लेके जाते हैं. He says, I'm not advocating death. Life is what it is about. लाइफ तो आपकी चलती रहेगी. He is not advocating that death should be there. I want no truck with that death, मतलब he is not advocating death. If we were not so single-minded मतलब fickle-minded, selfish. Humans are selfish. He says that we are caught in the trap of selfishness. About keeping our lives moving. हम सिर्फ अपनी जिंदगी को बस हम चलते जा रहे हैं. We are busy. We are like the busy bee. हम चलते जा रहे हैं, हम अपनी लाइफ को चलाते जा रहे हैं. We are selfish. We are not understanding that what we are actually doing. And for once could do nothing. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. शायद वो कहते हैं कि अगर हम इतने फिकल माइंडेड, इतने मतलब कि सेल्फिश हैं दैट वी आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड द ट्रेजेडी दैट वी आर गोइंग टू फेस. शायद for one moment when we are quiet, we might understand that it is not harming others, but we are harming ourselves, of threatening ourselves with death. Matlab, this is, these activities are going to at the end cause harm to us, not to others. और ये others कौन है? The nature. और ह्यूमंस को एक टाइम एक साथ में आना चाहिए. We have been single minded means we are monotonous, we are selfish, and maybe when we introspect we understand that we are harming ourselves, not others. ये जो एंडिंग लाइन है बेटा आप लोगों का, परहैप्स द अर्थ, दिस, पहले तो जो टोन है पोएट का, it is sad, it is concerned. You might have seen in your paper these kinds of questions also come ki what is the tone of the poet. So in the initial it is concerned, he is anguished, मतलब वो गुस्से में है. The poet is anguished that people are not understanding the real meaning of silence. People are not understanding that in the busy lives they are harming the mother earth, they are harming their brothers, they are harming the entire flora and fauna. Maybe. But in the end he comes and his tone changes to optimism, that is positivity. End में उनका जो tone है वो positive है. He says perhaps the earth can teach us as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Here he is personifying the earth as a teacher. That is why earth का E बड़ा लिखा हुआ है. He has personified that the earth is like a teacher, and it can make us understand that the rotation, day and night, the change of seasons, they all are a teacher. There is calmness. Seeds आपके बिल्कुल आंधी चलती है, seeds आपके सब soil में चले जाते हैं. There is calmness. उसके बाद there is life. The cycle of life goes on. The cycle of life goes on. It never stops. That is the what we call as teaching of earth. Earth हमें यही सिखाता है that there is life after death. Everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. मतलब एक टाइम हमें लगता सब कुछ खत्म हो गया है, लेकिन once again the life goes. Day हुआ, night हुआ, day आया. बारिश खत्म हुआ, मॉनसून सीजन खत्म हुआ, then again the next season comes. So the rotation of our day and night, the season, all these tells us that life is a cycle. It never stops. And we should learn from earth that the life cycle goes and we should not harm the earth too much. Now I will count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I'll go. आपने देखा होगा starting के अंदर उसने जो है we बोला था, because he wanted everyone to understand what is written, what he wants to tell. He wanted a brotherhood in the initial. आगे last में क्या कहता है? I'll count up to 12. मतलब मैं अभी 12 काउंट कर रहा हूँ and you introspect what I have told you. And I will go, मतलब this preaching is over here. Now I'll go and give this to others. और तब तक आप देखो what our deeds might result in. We must understand, we must overcome the harm that we are doing और हमें धीरे धीरे जो है खुद को समझाना चाहिए. So in other words, you can say that he is demanding peace. In the very beginning, now we will count to 12, right? We also have O. Now count आपका जो है, अगर हम now we will count, अगर चारों साथ में आ रहा है, you can see the vowel O is repeated. Not move our arms so much. Not move our arms so much. Again the vowel O is repeated. So this आपका जो है ये और आपका यहाँ पर जो है, they both will be said as assonance. बाकी आपके we will अगर आ रहा है तो that is आपका alliteration, दोनों साथ में आपके आ रहे हैं, so it is alliteration, right? Then sudden let us not speak, let us talk. अगर हम इनको लेकर चलते हैं तो ये आपका आ जाता है anaphora. This comes as anaphora, right? Then it would be an exotic movement, and we would without rush, without engines. अगर ये आपका without rush, without engine साथ में आ रहा है, the word without is repeated, so here it would be repetition. Without के लिए we would and sudden strangeness. W is repeated and sudden में S is repeated, so that is आपका alliteration. If you want to note it down, kindly note it down, then because I have to scroll it. Then again, fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and a man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. His hurt hands again is alliteration. Here, now those who prepare green wars. Wars with gas, wars with fire. Here again it is repetition. यहाँ पर जो word आपका war है, it is being repeated again and again. So here it is repetition. Victory with no survivors. The vowel O is repeated, so again it is assonance. It is again assonance. The earth is personification. We were so single-minded, यहाँ पर we were, again it is alliteration. And then यहाँ पर perhaps a huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding, जो ये पूरा लिखा हुआ है, दिस इज आपका एनजैम्पमेंट। द एंड, ये जो 4 लाइन्स है दे आर रिटन विदाउट एनी फुल स्टॉप, विदाउट एनी कॉमा, सो इट इज आपका एनजैम्पमेंट। व्हेन द लाइन इज रिटन विदाउट एनी कॉमा और फुल स्टॉप, जैसे यहाँ पर आप देखिए द फुल स्टॉप इज देयर, द सेमीकोलन इज देयर, अगेन अ फुल स्टॉप इज देयर, देन देयर कॉमा इज देयर, बट ये वाली जो लाइन्स हैं, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt the sadness of never understanding. It is written without any punctuation mark, so that is why it is called as enjambment. Earth, again here personification. The earth has been personified like a teacher. Right? Similarly, now I'll count again. It is, अगर ये वाला दोबारा से आता है तो now and count आपका O जो है it is repeated, तो it is said to be assonance. So this is what we call as a poem, Keeping Quiet. A poem which is written by Pablo Neruda, who strongly advocated peace and harmony in the world. He wanted to appeal, it can be said as an appeal to the readers to pause, खुद को pause करिए and see that in your mundane flurry of the habits, mundane flurry मतलब हमारा जो मतलब कि स्टीरियोटॉपिक हमारा जो मोनोटोनस लाइफ है उसके अंदर we have forgotten mindfulness. And it is also introspection as well as retrospection. When I had done this chapter in the poem earlier, I had given you the meaning of introspect as well as retrospect. यानी कि looking back, री का मतलब होता है फिर से. So looking back at the past events, past situation and understand पहले ऐसा हुआ था तो उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ. And introspect का मतलब था intro मतलब खुद को, and also look into yourselves that how much a human, how much we are contributing to this harm. So the poem deals both with the theme of introspection and retrospection. This poem was originally written in Spanish and later on it was translated to English. And it advocates brotherhood, unity, harmony, peace. These are the one. The poem is written in a free verse form and a general introspection that we must stop harming the Mother Earth, our fellow beings, whether they are the animals or the flowers, and maintain peace and harmony.